I will never forget the icy silence that took over that five-star restaurant when I placed my trembling hands on the table and said the sentence that would destroy my family. My children, I've lost everything. I am bankrupt. My name is Arthur. I am 82 years old, and for 5 decades I built a real estate empire worth millions. I gave my 3 children, Marcus, the lawyer, Julia, the doctor, and Peter, the entrepreneur, everything money could buy. Private schools, luxury cars, European vacations, and black cards with no limits. But as age caught up with me and my health began to fail, I started to feel a coldness that no expensive cashmere coat could keep out. The coldness of loneliness. They only visited me when they needed a wire transfer. So, on the night of my birthday, I decided to run the ultimate test. I needed to know if I had raised children or parasites. I booked the dinner at the most expensive steakhouse in the city. I arrived early, wearing my oldest suit, the one with frayed elbows, instead of the custom Armani they were used to seeing. When they arrived, the parade of arrogance began. Marcus complained about the wine vintage, Julia complained about the lighting, and Peter didn't even look up from his phone. They barely hugged me. The question everyone asked before the appetizers even arrived was, "Dad, what about the company's sale? Has the wire hit the account yet?" They were salivating over their inheritance while I was still alive. That's when I cleared my throat, let a single, real tear fall, and dropped the bomb. I told them the company had collapsed, debts had swallowed my properties, and I would be evicted from my mansion the next morning. The reaction was visceral. Julia dropped her fork onto her plate with a loud clang. Marcus turned red. Peter laughed, thinking it was a joke, but when I kept my face serious, his smile withered. "What do you mean, Dad? How could you be so irresponsible?" Marcus shouted, not caring about the other tables. Julia, the doctor who cares for strangers all day, looked at me with pure disgust and said, "I can't take you in, Dad. The guest room is my yoga studio now, and my husband is allergic to old people." Peter stood up, threw his napkin on the table, and said he had an urgent meeting, leaving without even paying for the water he drank. In 10 minutes, I was alone at that massive table, with an untouched birthday cake and 3 empty chairs. The pain in my chest was real. I had my answer. I was alone. But the story doesn't end with my loneliness. As I stared at the cake, feeling like trash, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Thomas. Thomas wasn't my blood son. He was the waiter at that restaurant for 10 years. A humble young man I watched grow up, who always asked about my health, who knew I liked my coffee black. He saw the whole scene. "Mr. Arthur," he said with a shaky voice, "I heard what happened. Look, my place is small, it's in a rough neighborhood, and the roof leaks. But the sofa is comfortable, and my wife makes a great stew. You are not sleeping on the street tonight. Come with me." I tried to refuse, but he insisted. He paid my bill, the bill my millionaire children left behind, with his tip money. He drove me in his beat-up sedan. He gave me the master bedroom and slept on the couch with his wife. That night, in that simple brick house, I ate the best meal of my life and received the warmth I hadn't felt in years. They didn't know who I really was. To them, I was just a broke, abandoned old man. The next morning, the sun rose, and so did the truth. I asked Thomas to gather his family in the living room. I called my lawyer and asked him to come to that humble house. When the lawyer arrived in his Bentley, Thomas was confused. My 3 biological children, tracking my phone, showed up right after, thinking I had died or something, worried only about paperwork. When they walked into that small living room and saw me in a brand new suit standing next to the family lawyer, the atmosphere shifted. "What is this, Dad? What is he doing here?" Julia asked. I stood up, no trembling this time. "The company didn't go bankrupt," I announced. "Actually, I just closed the sale for $100 million this morning." Their eyes lit up. The greed returned instantly. "Oh, Dad, you scared us." "What a bad joke," Marcus said, trying to hug me. I stepped back. The test was a bad joke, but the lesson was necessary. Yesterday I told you I had nowhere to sleep, and you turned your backs. Thomas, who barely knows me, gave me his bed. I took the folder from the lawyer and pulled out the new will. Since I'm still alive, I decided to make a living donation. "My children, you have your degrees and your jobs. You don't need me. I have placed your share of the inheritance into a strict trust fund. It will pay you exactly minimum wage every month, and you cannot access the principal." The shock was total. They started screaming. I raised my hand, silencing them. I turned to Thomas, who was shrinking in the corner. "And the rest of the fortune, including the mansion and the liquid cash from the sale, I am transferring today to the name of Thomas Miller." Thomas almost fainted. My kids tried to lunge at me, threatened to call the police, said I was senile. But the medical report proving my sanity was attached to the will. I was sharper than ever. I kicked my biological children out of that house and told them the only inheritance they deserved was the reflection in the mirror, the image of empty people. Today, I live in a smaller guest house on the same estate, where we built a new home for Thomas and his family. I gained grandchildren who hug me not to check for my wallet, but because they love me. I discovered late, but just in time, that family isn't blood. Family is who holds your hand when your legs fail. If you have an elderly person in your life, take care of them. Because, in the end, what we leave behind isn't money. It's how we made others feel. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and share so no other father has to pass this test.